guys, and welcome back to another tutorial. Now today we're going to be taking a look at another requested video by, I believe, Ken and Heath. So I would like to thank both of them for suggesting this video. But yeah, today we're going to be taking a look at Windows NT 4.0 and how to install it using a virtual machine or using a real computer. And just a brief little history about Windows NT 4. It was released to manufacturing on July 31st, 1996, and it was the first version of Windows NT to use the Windows 95 interface, also known as the Windows Explorer interface. So the overall interface of this entire operating system is probably going to look very similar to Windows 95. So if you've never seen this before, but you've seen Windows 95, you probably already know what it looks like. Essentially, this was the business version of Windows 95. As it was released around the same time that Windows 95 came out. So just like always, I'm going to have all the links that you need down below in the video description, which is only going to be to one file, which is the Windows NT 4.0 ISO image. And I'm going to be using VMware Workstation 10 to do the virtual machine creation and installation process, but you can of course use whatever virtual machine software that you want, or you can also just install this on a real physical machine from that area if you wanted to. So anyway, so let's just get started. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is go into whatever virtual machine software that you are using, and you want to create a new virtual machine. And if you're using VMware Workstation, I believe this is only specific to VMware Workstation, you're going to want to select on the typical or the recommended option. This usually makes it way easier during the rest of the setup, which we're going to see in a few moments here. And on this next screen, you're going to want to select the third option, which is I will install the operating system later. And this basically just creates the virtual machine with a blank hard disk with nothing on it. And obviously you want to select the guest operating system as a Microsoft Windows, and the version is Windows NT. Now for VMware at least, there is not a Windows NT 4.0 specific version, but if your software does have a Windows NT 4 specific version, I would recommend choosing that. But mine just has a Windows NT, so I'm just going to leave it at Windows NT. And then you just want to click on Next and give it a name. I'm just going to call it Windows NT 4.0, and you can choose the location in which you want to save it. If you want it changed, you could do that here. And once you have all that, you can just click on Next. For the virtual hard drive, I think 4 gigabytes is probably plenty of space for Windows NT 4.0. You can give it a little bit more or even a little bit less if you wanted to. But I'm just going to leave it at the default, which is 4 gigabytes, and I'm also going to store it as a single file. And once you have all that, you just want to click on Next, and then click on Customize Hardware. I believe that leaving the memory and the processors at the default settings, which is 256 megabytes and one processor, should be perfectly fine for Windows NT 4. But you do want to go down to where it says New CD/DVD IDE drive, and you want to click on Use ISO image file, and then you want to, of course, just like always, browse to your Windows NT 4 ISO image. And again, that link is going to be down below if you have not downloaded it already. So once you have that selected, you're just going to want to click on the Close button down here, and then click on the Finish button. It's going to pop up with a new virtual machine. And since this is not a beta version of Windows, we're not going to have to set the BIOS state back or anything like that. So if you've been having issues with getting the whole BIOS thing to work, as I'm sure if you're, or as I'm aware, if you're not using VMware, it's kind of a bit of a hassle. But you don't have to worry about that at all, since this is not a beta version of Windows. So all we have to do is just power on this virtual machine. And for some reason, it does throw up this little error message down here, which basically says that that Windows NT does not include drivers for the bus logic SCSI adapters that VMware Workstation uses for the virtual SCSI devices. Now, the weird thing is that it does actually still find the VMware SCSI drive in the virtual machine. So I'm just going to completely ignore this for now, but if you are having issues I would recommend downloading this file at this link right here. But basically what you want to do is this whole setup process should look very similar to anyone who has installed any version of Windows prior to Windows Vista. So this would include Windows XP. This whole installation is going to probably look very similar, as they haven't really changed anything about this first portion of the setup until Windows Vista came out. So what you want to do first off is just press enter, and it's going to give you a list of all of the devices that it's found, and you can see it found a IDE CD-ROM drive as well as a BusLogic SCSI host adapter, which I believe is the VMware virtual SCSI drive, which it said it wasn't going to be able to find. So I'm not really sure what was going on there. So, but yeah, like I said, if you're having errors with it not being able to find your hard drive, you might want to go and download that file that it tells you to. And I'll probably also put that link down below for those of you that are having any trouble with that. So what you want to do here is just press enter, and it's going to say that it has determined that your computer's startup hard disk is new or it has been erased. So, and this is, you know, kind of obvious. What you want to do is you just want to press the C key to continue setup, and that's just basically to, you know, I guess let you know that everything on this hard drive is going to be erased if you continue on with the setup, which is, you know, kind of nice to, you know, let people know that. And now what we have to do is press the page down key a few times, because they made it so you have to read, or quote unquote read, the entire license agreement before that you agree to it. So once you press page down until that you get to the end, you just have to press F8 to agree to it. And here is where you can configure all of your hardware settings. Now this would be ideal if you were on a real physical machine. But for a virtual machine, most of this usually is perfectly fine. It's like, you know, I don't really think there is really much a change here. But like if you were using something like a different keyboard or like a different mouse or something like that on a real computer, this is where you could change all that. So I'm just going to press enter on where it says no changes. The above list matches my computer. Now we're going to be presented with hard disk formatting screen here, which again probably should look familiar to you guys if you've ever installed Windows XP or like anything like that. But what you want to do is just highlight over the unpartitioned space, which should be the only partition on your hard drive, and I believe all you have to do is just press enter, and you want to definitely choose the ntfs file system, as it's going to be way better than the FAT file system. And that was one of the great things about Windows NT, is it used the Windows NTFS file system, which is still used today, even in the newest version of Windows 10 still uses to this day the Windows NT file system. And yeah, that was one of the things that made Windows NT really stable, was its new file system, especially comparing it to Windows 95, which used the FAT file system. But anyway, moving on right here, it just basically asks you where you want to install the entire installation to, and by default it's WinNT. So I'm just going to leave that set as WinNT, so just press enter, and it's going to perform an exam on all of your hard drives for corruption. So I'm just going to press enter, as it should go pretty fast since we are in a virtual machine here, and it's going to begin copying all the files over from the ISO image to the virtual hard drive. So this should not take that long. It's already 75% done, or over 75% done, and now it's finished. So that's basically it. It does tell you to take out any CD-ROM devices, or also any floppy disks if you had to, you know, for some reason insert one of those. So all you have to do is press Control-Alt to get your mouse back. Now, of course, if you're using something other than VMware, you're going to have to press a certain other key combination, which is different for every other virtual machine software. But what you have to do is go up to the top menu where it says VM, and go into Removable Devices, and then CD/DVD IDE, and then Settings, and then change it to Use Physical Drive Auto Detect, and then click on OK. And now you can go back into the virtual machine and press enter to restart. And if all goes well, you should be presented with the OS loader version 4.0. And if you press enter, or if you just let it time out, you should start Windows NT 4.0. And this is the so-called boot screen for Windows NT. They didn't like give it any graphics or anything, as you wouldn't really be using that in a workstation or in a server setting. And that's kind of what Windows NT was intended for. It wasn't intended for the home user, so I guess they didn't really bother putting that in there. So you just kind of get this nice little screen of, it's actually right now converting the file system from FAT to NTFS. So that's what it's doing right now. As I saw that it said the type of file system is FAT, and it was beginning the conversion process. So we'll see what it does next. We'll see what it does here. But yeah, as I was saying, this is all you're gonna get if you wanted to see what the Windows NT4 boot screen looks like. This is pretty much it. It doesn't really look too graphically advanced, I guess you could say. So yeah, I guess it has finished converting the drive over to NTFS, and now it is going to present us with what looks like the Windows 95 setup, kind of, and it actually asks us to put back in the Windows NT cd-rom drive. So we're going to have to actually do that again. So again, press Control Alt to get your mouse back and go up to the VM menu up here and go to Removable Devices, CD/DVD, Settings, and then click on Use ISO Image File, and then browse to your ISO file again. Alright, now once you have all of that configured properly, you just want to press OK, and it's going to copy everything over. And this is, I believe, the last portion of the setup, so all we have to do is just click on Next, and it's going to prepare the machine for installation. I'm actually going to choose on the custom option here, and this is probably going to be very similar to my Windows 95 install tutorial from now on, as this looks pretty similar so far. You can of course choose any of these other options if you want to, of course depending on how much space that you have on your hard drive, or if you're using a portable computer, or something like that. You can change all that. I'm just going to choose custom, and type in your name and I guess your organization if you have one. I'm just going to leave that blank, and put in a computer name, and it says that it must be unique on your network, which is pretty much every single computer name. So I'm just going to do this WinNT VM, and we'll just say next. And I'm not going to put a password on the admin account, so I'm just going to completely ignore that. And this is something that I would recommend you do if you're using a real computer, but if you're using a virtual machine, an emergency repair disk probably isn't that necessary. But if you have an extra floppy drive or an extra floppy disk laying around, and you're on like a real computer, I would recommend that you do this just in case something happens. You can boot back up, safely. But since I'm in a VM here, I'm just going to choose no, and then click on next. And this is where that we get to choose what things that you want to actually install. And this was since I chose that custom option earlier, so I'm just going to choose the games. And what does Windows messaging include? I choose electronic mail. Yeah, why not? We'll just put that. So yeah, we have everything that Windows NT includes. We're going to install. So we're just going to click on next, and it's going to the next step is installing Windows NT networking. And this is basically going to ask you if this computer will participate on a network. So if you want this virtual machine to be connected to your home network, then you would choose the bottom option. And if you don't want it to, you would probably choose the top option. Now, I don't believe, there's probably not going to be like any drivers installed, so I'm just going to choose this option and just like see what happens, but it's probably not going to be able to find any network adapters on this computer. It did actually find one, so we'll just say next, and we'll see. We'll do TCP protocol. We'll have all those services, and it's going to, I guess, install all those components. So we'll just let it do that. And We'll just click on continue there. We'll say yes on DHCP, and it's going to do all of that. And here I'm just going to leave all this and just click on next. And we'll click next to start the network. And yeah, I'm not really sure if this is going to work. I mean, it might, but we'll just see what happens. Complete the installation of networking. It looks like it's kind of frozen here. And we'll just see what... Oh, I guess it did work. So this is where they ask you to confirm the name of your computer and choose whether you want it to be part of a workgroup or a domain. So I'm just going to choose workgroup and just pretty much leave this all as the defaults, and just click on finish to finish the setup. And I believe that is pretty much it. It's going to probably okay, actually it's not. It's going to ask us for a few more things. We'll just say, actually I don't know why it's thinking we're in London. That's kind of strange. We are in Eastern time, and the date and time should be February 6/25. That is correct. So we'll click on close, and it found this following adapter, VGA capable or VGA compatible display adapter. So I believe this is the standard VMware driver that is loaded when there's no VMware tools installed. So yeah, this is the one where like even if you set it 800 by 600, it doesn't go 800 by 600. So I'm just going to click on OK, and it's going to continue copying some files from the CD-ROM, and it's going to do some more things, setting security on our system files. It is now removing temporary files, and we just have to click on the restart button. And actually, we should probably remove the CD-ROM drive before we do that. So again, I'm just going to go up to the top, the VM, removable devices, CD/DVD settings, and use physical drive, auto detect. And just click on OK, and then hit on restart computer. And we should now just press enter to load VMware Workstation 4, and we should be ready. We should be running VMware Workstation successfully. It may have to do a few first boot procedures, but pretty much after that, I think we are pretty much set. And I can just briefly show you how this looks and kind of works. It looks pretty much the same. At least the whole interface looks pretty much the same as Windows 95. There are a few differences, such as this right here, where it asks you to use the Control-Alt-Delete key combination, which I'm just going to do right here. And we're going to log in with the administrator account, which I did not put a password on, so we just have to click on OK. And here we are. It looks, again, pretty much just like Windows 95, except for the fact that, yes, this is on the NT file system. So if we go in to my computer, the C drive is apparently shared. I guess that's because I configured this to run on over the network. But yeah, you can see here it says file system ntfs, and you can see that we also have the WinNT directory instead of C Windows, which would be Windows 95 and all that. But yeah, pretty much it's the same style of how Windows Explorer works. You can also do Control R, and we can do WinVer, and I can just show you. This looks a little bit different than it does in Windows 95, but it does say that it is Microsoft Windows NT version 4.0, and yeah, guys, I think that is pretty much it for this video. This has been how to install Windows NT 4.0 inside of a virtual machine. Again, thank you to Heath and Ken for giving me this video idea, and if you guys, of course, have any video ideas of your own, be sure to leave them down in the comments below, as I always enjoy reading all of the comments and all of your guys' feedback. And if this helped you in any way, definitely be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.